I think it's time that we review this list forever. I think it's time that we review this list, oh yeah. The only thing I ask of you, Andrew, you gotta promise not to stop when I say it. Oh yeah. No, I wanted to finish it out, but I whiffed horribly.
Now, honestly, I think you did great.
Considering I made that up like 10 seconds ago. Yeah, not bad.
What? You didn't make that. What? What are you talking about? I don't know. What?
What? I rehearse all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You're a consummate professional.
Sure.
It's not like we do this stuff all on the fly. So
definitely not.
No, definitely not. But guys, welcome back to Like 500 Stones. Yeah, we got one more episode of this, baby.
Another one.
Well, that's too bad. You should read the contract before you agree to do our show.
Fine print, motherfucker.
Yeah. But you know what, Mr. Producer Man, you've been such a good help to us these last couple of weeks. Take the day off. I think I can get this one all by myself. So, Brooklyn, great. Brooklyn, let's start off with just our overall thoughts on the list. How do you think this turned out?
So this list is it's pretty solid. In terms of the overall average and I would say because you take out the really great songs and the worst songs, and we'll be talking about those a bit later. And I think if I guess to kind of quote How I Met Your Mother, the Vicky Mendoza diagonal, we're constantly above that for the most part. I do think that this list had a general theme, and I think it had some kind of unwritten rules that it wanted to apply. In particular, I think there was some criteria that one, it had to have some form of cultural impact. I don't think they were necessarily judging this upon the best song from that particular artist. I think that's an entirely different list, and I want to check that out now. The more that I talk about it, but then I think the other thing that they applied to this, and it was very prominent in that anytime that they had a song that had a massive sample on it, they usually honored the source. I think the only time that didn't get done was maybe with Kanye West's Stronger, because I don't remember seeing Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Yeah, Daft Punk. No, wait. I was about to say Daft Punk didn't appear on the list, but they had Get Lucky. Get Lucky was on the list.
Yeah, they had Get Lucky. But yeah. And then as you got into the top 100, there was definitely a turn. There was definitely a turn into okay, these songs have the cultural impact. They're incredible, both written and production wise. But the message that they have still relates to today's society, and there's still something that we could take from those songs. That is still great.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I could put it any better. I 100% agree with you by them not always choosing necessarily an art. If an artist appeared once or maybe twice, I think you were right in them not necessarily picking the best overall song by them, but arguably the most popular one.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of deep cuts on this list. It's a lot of singles and songs that were kind of released, either that or just kind of blew up off of just radio going, hey, we like this song even though you didn't send it to us as a single. So Stairway to Heaven is an example of that. And it's a good time capsule for the different voters. Considering how many songs that are only 1 or 2 years old got caught on this list. Because we had songs like Savage and Thank You Next and Dynamite. But then we had other songs like Robert Johnson's Crossroad Blues, from the 30s on here. it's nice to see that all these time periods were able to get on here, even if some of them I don't necessarily agree should have been on here.
No.
Yeah. But I think with that, I think we can start with our first topic for today. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, what's the best overall song on this list, Brooklyn?
Um, so this is a bit of a loaded question because like there's definitely days where I go through like four or five. You could go with like I could have went with like Both Sides Now. I could have went with Dreams. I even could have went with like Eagles. Could have went with Hotel California. Um, but if I'm talking about the one that has stayed with me the most, and one that I actually play now, like it's now in my set list for like open mic and gigs and stuff. It's Allison, Elvis Costello. I fucking
Yeah,
love that. I
baby.
fucking love that song. It is one of the best pop songs ever. Like that intro is so smooth and flawless. And just how he packs so much emotion. Sometimes I don't want to get sometimes I don't want to get too sentimental like those other Sticky Valentines. So I don't know if you were loving somebody. I only know it isn't mine. And then yeah, the way he ends that song is great. But it was just like because I wanted to leave this one for like one of the songs that I fell in love with because of the list. I think if we were to say like my favorite song that I already knew of beforehand, I think I probably I think I still probably go with I probably do I go with Dreams? No. Um I'm not sure what I go with on that one for like the one that I already knew of beforehand. That's an actually interesting question. Go back to that one.
Yeah. I'm so happy you picked this because I've been championing Elvis Costello for a while on all of the shows where we've talked about music together. Um, and it's in my top 5 Elvis Costello songs. That opening guitar, you're right, it's absolutely perfect, and just the way that he delivers that line, it's become kind of a joke between the two of us, but I think it's because of how much we love and respect that. Um,
Yeah.
Allison.
It's just like when something doesn't really go your way and you're just like you feel so defeated. It's just Allison, I know this world is killing you.
um, Brooklyn, I cannot tell you how happy I am that this is your pick. This is a great pick, man.
Thank you.
Let's see if you agree with mine, because my number one overall pick, you're right, there's a lot of songs that are in my personal top 100. Like I could have picked like Merry-Go-Round by Casey Musgraves, even though I don't think that I would necessarily call it like the best song of all time. And
Not
then there
not
was
not, not even the best Casey Musgrave song.
I would disagree with that. Actually, I would say it is, but we can have that argument.
Golden Hour would like a word with you.
I mean, Rainbow's the best song on Golden Hour. But this isn't the Casey Musgraves episode. We can do that episode later. I just
We
thought of
could
an
do that
idea.
episode later.
Yeah, but my pick for best overall song on the list is "The Sounds of Silence" by Simon and Garfunkel.
Huh, interesting.
um, yeah, this is in my top 10 favorite songs of all time, personally. Their harmonies are just so perfect, and um, it it really captures that sense of ennui like so effectively, just with like that one lone guitar, like echoing in the darkness, and the opening line of "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Immediate, immediate, just like grabs you by the collar and it's like, "We're gonna go for a ride, buddy." Um, but also love, and I think we're talking particularly about the electric version, because they never really specify it on the list. I think that they're going specifically for like the electric guitar version, um, and I love that version because like the build, it's so subtle, but it starts to pick up speed the further along it goes, even though it's not like a rollicking speed. It's a very slow build, but the grandiose scale of it starts to just really expand and show itself towards the end. And I think that it's one of the best produced songs. It's one of my favorite written songs, and the sound of it is just incredible. Ooh, ooh, I miswrote that. That's the sound of silence, not sound. Um, but
as a former manager of the New British Empire, I have a hard time with S's being added and whatnot. I had to stop for a second. It was like, ooh.
If you don't know what we're referencing in that moment, email us at I'm Caleb Boatman.
No, because I'm Boatman. Yeah,
because I'm Boatman. Thank you. Yeah. Tweet us. All right, Brooklyn. Let's move on to the next one. What's the worst song on the list?
I'm not going to shy away from it. It is the Byrds version of Mr. Tambourine Man.
Wow.
Having said that, I very much understand why it is on here. From like, cause so like I remember talking shit about that song. And then I think it was like St. Patrick's Day was a couple of days later, and somebody played this at a St. Patrick's Day show, and I still hated it. But I was like, I understand what this did now in terms of aspiring artists or whatever, where it's like, okay, you can make a song sound really good with some layered guitar and really good harmonies. But it just hasn't aged well. And if we are going to talk about the 500 greatest songs of all time, I am going to need something that is more than just the 12-string guitar and the harmonies. So that doesn't do it enough for me, just because of how much it has been done and how much it has been perfected by people. If there was a song that I could replace with this, and actually the spot, because I think this was in like low 300s, high 200s, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was around there.
Yeah, it was like just below or just above center, I guess you would say. But I would replace this with Stan Rogers. And like somebody that I think really needs to be recognized in the music scene internationally. It has the same sort of vibe, and I think it hits a aspect of the list that wasn't necessarily covered, which was like Acadian folk, which is kind of like a distant cousin of Cajun, and I think there's it has that sort of attachment to that southern kind of bluegrass style, and I just love the sing-songy style of this, and I think that needs to be recognized more, as opposed to quite frankly a dumbed down version of an already pretty straightforward song.
Yeah, I don't dislike this song as much as you, but I do admit it's not one of my favorite songs on the list, and the fact that the Bob Dylan version is also on the list, it's one of those moments where we don't really need both on here. So I don't agree about worst, but it's one that I would be totally fine with replacing. Brooklyn, are you ready to get a lot of hate mail because you're on the show with me?
Sure. Wow. Wow. Okay. I'm scared. I feel this is how Ralph Wiggum feels when he's in the back of the bus. I'm in danger. This is wow. Okay, go on.
Yeah, look. So, do I like Beyonce? Yeah, I like Beyonce. As I said before on the show, I think Lemonade's one of the best albums of the 2010s. And she is a fantastic singer. But this song, it's just kind of audio nightmare. The production on this is not that good. It's clanky, it's clattering. It doesn't sound good melodically. She's straining her vocals a lot, and over this kind of production, it's actually kind of making things worse. And the chorus, I don't mind a chorus that kind of repeats itself with just like one line, but at one point it goes on and on and on and on, and it just like it's insufferable to a point. Um, it's not one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life, but out of all of the other songs on this list, there were a couple that I thought of, but this is the one that always kept sticking in my head as to why is this song on this list. And if I were to replace it with anything, because if I have a whole list of songs that are not on this list, that I will go over towards the end. But if I'm gonna have to pick one specific one that kind of is a good fit in its place, I'd probably go with "Poison" by Belle Biv DeVoe. I think that song, it's instantly catchy and memorable. The production is tight. The guy's chemistry is on point, and it's got some of like the most memorable lines in a New Jack Swing song I've ever heard. If I were you, I'd take precaution. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know why this song's on this list. She's got so much better songs, you guys. Why is this the cultural touchdown? All right, now that I've pissed everyone off, Brooklyn, let's move on to what's the most confusing song on this list?
So this is the one that I'm still like not 100% sure on. I'm gonna do the quick little extra Scott Pilgrim of just like skimming through the list to see if I can really kind of figure out one.
Here, you do that, and I'll start talking about mine as I type it into the banners. My most confusing song choice is "Dynamite" by BTS.
Really?
Like, well, yeah, it's kind of confusing. It's
of the new songs, that's the one that probably makes most ish sense.
See, I disagree, because all of the other like newer songs are at least bringing something different to the table. Like "Thank You Next," it's a very untraditional song for Ariana Grande, and also lyrically, it's a lot deeper. "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish has its very unique sense of darkness to it, even though it's got that bright poppy production. But there's still some menace behind it. Just for those as examples, whereas "Dynamite" by BTS, while a good song, it's fine. We've got Madonna on here multiple times, and "Dynamite" is just kind of like a bouncy, disposable, summertime fun song that doesn't really have any extra deep layers going for it. I mean, as I said, I like it, but it's not designed to be one to come back to over and over and over again, in my opinion. So I don't understand why it's on the list already for as young. Like, if it ends up being a song that stands the test of time, then sure, I'd be fine with it being on the list. But it's so young, and it's water that's been tread so many times before and done better. I don't understand why it made it on the list at this point.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still skimming through my list. I think I have my pick, but there's definitely some honorable mentions. "Dynamite" by BTS, yeah, is fine. It's tough to tell where this is gonna sit in terms of age. Like, this is probably gonna stay. This is probably gonna stay on the list for next time around. So we'll see like where it kind of falls and rests. Like, this will. I don't think this will stay on the list for a super long time. But it'll just be remembered from like the late 2010s, early 2020s.
All right, Brooklyn. What do you got?
All right. So I was scrolling through the list and I was like, all right, there's a couple here. There's a couple here that I could have went with. I could have went with Dream by the Everly Brothers. I could have went with Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. But I think if we're gonna stay in that modern trend of why are songs here, it is "I Like It Like That," Cardi B and Bunny. Other honorable mention, Sapphire, the Bad Bunny song. That would probably be my most that would probably be my most misunderstood song. I guess I would say I don't quite necessarily get why it's on there, but I realize that I'm probably not the demographic for it. But yeah, this is the bad, or yeah, I like it like that. Has a okay beat, but everything else about it is just not, it's not super great. In terms of like 2010s dance pop, and what people are doing. It's crazy that in 2021 we have a list with Cardi B and not Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa should be in this spot, not Cardi B. But yeah, other than that, it's just like there's a bunch of songs from this era you could have picked. Like there's you could have even went, like, I would say that for the most confusing placement, I think Thank You Next probably gets that spot. If it was a little lower, I'd be like, all right, that's understandable for it being a new song. But for this to even crack the top 500s is a bit shocking.
Yeah, I can agree with this. This is one that I kind of get a little bit more, because I think we both picked summer songs. And this is one that I think I get this one a little bit more because it's got a little bit more extra flavor and style to this one than Dynamite does, in my opinion, at least. And the charisma of all of them is really infectious, but otherwise, I think that this is fair. Between this and Dreams, I think this is the right pick. I don't know. It's one that I think it's high. I think if this was sitting at like $4.99, I think I'd be a lot more okay with this one being on the list. I know you disagree, but this is me.
At that point, you're even just giving it like a participation award. Like, like, hey, you're the worst of all. Like, you're the last person we thought about before we added you to this party.
Here, we got everyone a medal, but you can have this cookie in the shape of a medal.
Bronze.
All right, let's move on to the next one. What song is the most deserving of being higher on this list? You have a choice for this one ready yet, Brooklyn?
I am. You know what? I'm gonna go with a homer pick. Scenes from Italian Restaurant. Needs to be higher in terms of storytelling, in terms of the arrangement of production, and considering how much this community and this world loves Bohemian Rhapsody, because this is the song that everybody compares it to. I think it just does an incredible job of capturing the atmosphere, like bottle of red, bottle of white, whatever kind of mood you're in tonight. You're instantly taken to like a table, while these two people are reminiscing about their marriage and their life, and I just think there's some really good and effective transitions that you don't necessarily get in Bohemian Rhapsody, but I think it just makes for a better time, and I think this is so in terms of like transitioning these into live performances, I think this is the one that comes out a little bit better. Obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody is going to be Bohemian Rhapsody, but I think it's almost broken up into two separate songs, whereas this one is like more of like a medley sandwich. It has that recurring theme at the middle and the end, but then you have that very satisfying middle that everybody comes back for.
Yeah, this was on my considerations list for this question, because I think we might both agree that the number one, or at least top 5 most underrepresented artist on this list is Billy Joel, because this is the only song that appears on the list. It's like between him and the Eagles.
Yeah.
And no, I think that this is a really good choice because this is sitting at number 324. The highest Billy Joel song is at a 324, and that just seems wrong. Um, and I think that you're right. I think that the structure of the song, the way that the song is created and framed, it's incredible. Because you have that mood setting beginning, and then you get into the story of Render and Eddie, and then that kind of mood setting story comes back at the end, but you kind of get the idea of who is saying those lines after the Render and Eddie part. Um, yeah, I think this is a great pick. I'm gonna go with the one that we kind of memed towards the beginning of this series, in the sense of how are these songs above this one? I'm going with
Okay,
California
yeah.
Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas at number 420. That's freaking insane. Um, this is one of the most incredible songs to ever capture a mood. Um, you get the way that it's written, like the chords that it uses, it creates this really cold atmosphere, um, which just perfectly captures the lyrics, where all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. Um, and the harmonies by the Mamas and the Papas are they, they rival Simon and Garfunkel, and I think on this song sometimes overperform um, most acts. And that flute solo just perfectly, expertly, like captures the sense of homesickness and cold and all of that. It's an incredible song that is referenced in, you know, it's referenced and talked about so often that I don't understand how it's at number 420. Unless this is a big joke by Rolling Stone magazine, putting it at 420, ha ha ha. But even then, I don't think that's the case. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts on this?
So you talked about the chord structure, and I was like, all right, I got to figure this out right quick, and I got to figure out why it is great, and why that song works is because of the two line structure, of those verses, like all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I went for a walk on a winter's day, so like you go to the all the leaves are brown, like all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. So it goes down to that E, but then like in the music theory kind of side of it, um, the E minor or the E major rather plays into like the A minor chord really well, which is like the root note of it, and then you get to like the second line. Well, I got down on my knees, and then it becomes much happier note with C and began to pray, and then it goes back to the E, so it has that nice like cycle and transition and whatnot. But yeah, some really like I think I said it on the original episode, but some great building of like tension, and that flute solo, like you mentioned, is incredible. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, and with that, let's move on to what I think is probably the big part of this, the big question in this episode, and it's best section of the list. We went through each section 25 songs at a time. Brooklyn, what selection of 25 songs do you think was the best section?
So, going through my research, and I like the big qualifying thing for me was it had to check off a lot of different genres. Not necessarily like what are my overall favorites, but songs when I think about that genre, like they're in that conversation. And I went with episode 12. This would have been the episode where we had Corey Duguay as a guest. This hits all over the place. It starts off with Layla. Aside from the outro, it's a great Stan, easily one of the best hip hop songs of all time. River Deep, Mountain High, Free Fallin', Edge of 17, Say What You Love About Chuck One's Part 2, but it is great. Painted Black, With or Without You, The Boys of Summer, Killing in the Name, Hit Me Baby One More Time, which I think is which is great because it honored the 90s bubblegum pop, Young American, Side Seal Delivered, Your Song, Ring of Fire, and my favorite song of this list, purely for Homer J. Simpson, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line. Yeah, I think it checks off everything. And if you want I think this is the average.
Yeah, this is a really good pick. It's one that I was considering as well, because you named a lot of great songs on there, and it does have a good balance of all the genres of rock, pop, country, hip hop. And even though it's got like Signed, Sealed, Delivered, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. As much as you guys shat on it, Shook One's Part 2 by Mobb Deep. Great song on there. As Brooklyn just goes, okay. But man, I am still not sure where I'm going with this. Because I'm stuck. I don't want to be basic and pick 25 through 1, because how boring would that be? Even though that would be a typical bar decision, to be as boring as possible. I think I'm going to go with the episode, 2 episodes before this, the one with Zach Ford. I'm going with number 275 through 251, and I will get that banner up here quick.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so this has the friggin' Randy Newman song.
Yes.
Yeah.
The friggin' Randy Newman song? How dare you? That's a great Randy Newman song.
It's a great Randy Newman song, but you need to you kind of need to be in the know of what that song is about.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know what that song is about, then you're missing the point of the satire of that song. But so with this part of the list, you have Sail Away by Randy Newman, Love and Happiness by Al Green, Killing Me Softly with his song by Roberta Flack, the better version. Then you have The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy, A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum. Once again, one of my favorite songs of all time. Then you have Closer by 9 Inch Nails, which industrial rock, really interesting. Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, Shouts Part 1 and 2, one of the greatest dance songs of all time by the Isley Brothers, Take Care by Drake featuring Rihanna, his best song in my opinion, King Tubby Meets the Rockers Uptown by Augustus Pablo, Left to the Die by The Replacements, Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton, American Tune by Paul Simon, which is actually only increased in my opinion of it. I love that song now. Push Your Man by Curtis Mayfield, Get Up, Stand Up by the Wailers, Heart of Gold by Neil Young, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised by Gil Scott-Heron. Listen to that song, it's amazing. Heat Waves by Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Master of Puppets by Metallica, Coal Miner's Daughter by Loretta Lynn, Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain by Willie Nelson, Flashlight by Parliament, and I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Unfortunately, there's no hip hop in that section of there's Take Care by Drake. So it does kind of do the same thing as your section, where it encompasses like everything, disco, country, pop, rock, metal. I think that the diversity in that section of the list, as well as the quality of that section of the list, is what puts it over it for me. Honorable mention to 300 to 276, which was the episode with Kelly Meehan. Things like Dancing Queen, You Shook Me All Night Long, Say My Name, so on and so forth. Rebel Girl by Bikini Kills. Oh, beautiful. So, Brooklyn, I think we have one more topic we have to cover before we wrap this episode up. And that is, what song on the list is the one that you think more people should listen to? One that you think is, while on the list, not very well known, but should be.
You go first on this one. I'm still not 100% sure.
Cool. Let me type this in before I do so I don't mess this up. But you know me. I'm a country boy. While I'm not really an actual country boy, so Southern people don't actually get offended by me.
Thank God I'm a country boy.
We're gonna talk about that song a little bit later. Well, not that song, but another song by that particular artist a little bit later. There we go. At number okay, so at number 191 is a song by an artist known as Bobbie Gentry called "Ode to Billie Joe." This, if we want to talk about like great songwriters in the sense of like storytellers, Bobbie Gentry's song "Ode to Billie Joe" is an amazing story set to music. Basically, the story is about this girl who is sitting down at a family dinner table, hearing about how Billie Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And then as the story goes along, you find out little details that kind of like build this almost mystery sense to it. And I love that element. The little details that she just throws in the lyrics really build like the world and the atmosphere and like just like the mystery behind why Billie Joe jumped off this bridge. Not only that, but Bobbie Gentry sounds amazing. The melody is absolutely earwormy. Especially that one line of that's essentially the chorus, even though there's not really a chorus. I think that this is an amazing song. I'm so happy that it jumped as high as it did from the previous list up to this number, because it sounds like more people are starting to get on board with it. But it's also one I don't hear people talking about a lot, so I wanted to bring it up and bring it more attention.
Oh, sorry, you froze.
Sorry, after you.
Okay.
I was.
All right. So, honorable mention to Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. I was kind of surprised that a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song was stayed up that high for me in terms of quality and re-listenability. But the song that I am going to go with is "This Must Be the Place" by the Talking Heads. I really enjoyed that song, and I think with a lot of things that are going on right now in the music scene, this would hold up quite well. The bass line in it is very catchy. That synth is loopy at times, but also has just enough of a dip and a bend for it to kind of make sense. David Byrne's vocals on it it's like one of the few times that I think like that style just delivers beautifully. But yeah, this is probably the song that I check out because like when you immediately think of the Talking Heads, you think of oh my God, You May Find Yourself, that song.
Once in a Lifetime.
Yeah, Once in a Lifetime. Sorry, I blanked on the name of it. Or like Burning Down the House. And I think this one needs to be added into that conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this one up. I love this song. I'm a big Talking Heads fan, and this is one of the songs that the moment I heard it the first time, I immediately went, okay, this is what I'm going to be listening to a lot more. I love that the kind of subtitle for this song is Naive Melody, because it kind of captures that innocence, that the simplicity of the instrumentation kind of captures, because it's just kind of loops, but it builds on itself a little bit later, with that dun 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 dun. Plus with the lyrics in this, it just kind of really sweet. Like home, it's where I want to
Want
be.
to be with you.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
it's a very sweet piece. That I think it's one that a lot of people have heard before, but if you asked them, hey, do you know the opening to This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads? I think 9 times out of 10, you're going to get, actually, maybe more like 14 times out of 15, you're going to get someone going, what's that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So great choice, Brooklyn. And with that, we're rounding down the end of the episode, but Brooklyn, I want to bring up something that I've kind of been building. Since
Have you been building a sandwich since episode 1, and now you're finally going to reveal the 20-layered club that has the most needless amount of bread on any sandwich ever?
a Big Mac?
Yeah, nice.
So yeah. God, I want a sandwich now. No, but Brooklyn, I'm going to make one in honor of our show. One for every episode that we've released. No, I've been building up a list of songs that are not on this list that I'm kind of surprised are not. So let me stop me if there's one that you want to get quick thoughts out on.
Okay.
So Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas. Crimson and Clover by Tommy James and the Shondells. Come on, it's been covered by Joan Jett, Prince,
Crimson and Clover, over and over.
The legacy of that song should have just gotten it into at least the 400s. How dare you? Personal choice of mine, Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House, but that, once again, personal choice of mine. Love is the Battlefield by Pat Benatar. Take the Long Way Home by Supertramp. The Letter by the Box Tops. Land of Confusion by Genesis. There was 0 Genesis on this list at all. Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, I guess there was Phil Collins, but it was just in the air tonight.
Yeah, there was Phil Collins and there was Peter Gabriel.
And, yeah, Salisbury Hill.
For Salisbury Hill, which, by the way, In Your Eyes, not on this list, heresy. Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. The Locomotion. It's been covered to death. No, okay, hear me out.
Come on and do the Locomotion.
It's been covered to death. People like Van Halen have covered it. Dr. Dre, when he was like just getting started, did his whole like DJ set around this song. It's an influential piece that has actually really stood the test of time incredibly well. So I'm surprised it's not sitting in like the 500 to 475 range at minimum. I Melt With You by Modern English. It's one that I think has gotten so much love and steam with these last couple of years. Paradise by the Dashboard Light by Meatloaf. No Meatloaf at all on this.
No Meatloaf on this at all is a fucking crime.
Yeah, agreed. Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. The big part of music, so I'm surprised that it's not on here.
Also a great cover by that Kate Isabel is the name?
No, it's Katie Pruitt. Katie Pruitt, yeah. Yeah, I like her version better. I think that this on the list at all is kind of feel like Making Up Bad Company. It's just resonated and stuck around for a long time. Careless Whisper by Wham.
Yes,
kind
absolutely.
Of surprised.
Absolutely needs to be on this list.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like all-time iconic saxophone solos, it's between that and Baker Street. But as a song, Careless Whisper is a little better. The fact that we saw some of these songs like Dynamite and I Like It and Thank You Next, I'm surprised that Blinding Lights didn't pop on the list anywhere at all by The Weeknd, considering, according to Billboard, it's the most popular song of all time now.
Yeah.
Only on the basis of some of the other songs that popped on the list. I'm going to save this one for last because it's the one that I'm probably the most surprised about. American Pie by Don McLean. Shocked that's not on here.
That was on this list? I could have
Not at
sworn
all.
it was.
Nowhere on this list.
Okay. I agree with you that I hate that it's on the list, but I'm also like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. You've Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Smooth by Santana and Rob Thomas. Smoke on the Water
Yes.
by Deep Purple. Shocked. Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Brown.
Yes. Fucking right.
That's one of that's my all-time favorite Jackson Brown song. That song is perfect. Since we had some songs in foreign languages on here, I'm a little surprised that Le'Veon Rose isn't on here. Take Me Home Country Roads, no John Denver whatsoever, and especially that song not being on this list, kind of egregious. Black and or Jeremy by Pearl Jam. Little surprised. Nazario would back me up on here, and the one I feel like
Yeah,
is
even Flow for sure. Jeremy needs to be in that conversation as well.
Yeah. I already talked about Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. And the one I think might be the most egregious, considering, at least in America, how much of a cultural touchstone and like how beloved and well known this song is. I'm shocked it's nowhere on the list, and it's Jack and Diane by John Cougar Mellencamp.
Yes. So one of the ones that I was going to mention was Cherry Bomb.
Oh yeah, by the Runaways.
No, Cherry Bomb by John Mellencamp.
Yeah. Either way, yeah. Or Pink Houses.
Yeah, or Pink Houses. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my list of songs that I'm really surprised aren't on the list. Is there any other songs that you can think of before we wrap this up?
Yeah, there's a couple. The one that initially kind of surprised me was Me and Bobbie McGee, Janis Joplin.
There's no Janis Joplin on this list whatsoever.
No, another one as well. Lord, Won't You Buy Me a Mercedes Benz? Like that's an a cappella song that has more power than like a lot of these songs. Money by Pink Floyd was another one that I considered. Pretty
One Pink Floyd song on the. No, wait, there was like maybe 3 actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Pretty Young Thing, Michael Jackson. I think that's a well structured song. King Kunta, Kendrick Lamar. I think he just came in with a banger. Aquemini, by Outkast. I think that just kind of captures the little bit of weirdness, I guess, of Outkast and how unorthodox they are in their delivery.
On top of that, I would throw Rosa Parks on that list as well.
Yeah, Rosa Parks as well. Another one, Brian Wilson by Bare Naked Ladies, I think needs to be on there. It's an incredible song about ultimately about having writer's block. We talked about it on the show, but Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel. That we only had those songs. Trying to think of other ones. We didn't have in terms of like sports anthems, we didn't have the Hockey Game by Stompin' Tom Connors. Now I don't know if you guys have ever heard like that. No, okay. Well,
sorry.
I'm
not a big hockey person, so
no, that's fair. But I think just in terms of like storytelling or like getting a crowd, I guess, in a mood, it does an excellent job. If we're going on the newer side, like obviously, like I would love to see Dua Lipa on here. I would also. Trying to think of like anything else. Oh, sorry. NSYNC was on this list at all. And
nope.
the greatest meme, It's Gonna Be May, needs to be on this list.
Honestly, I think just for that reason alone, I might agree with you. As long as we throw it in like the 300 to 400 range.
Oh, absolutely. It goes no higher than 470.
I think one more that I'm going to throw on there just before we wrap things up, because I just thought of it, is The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King.
Yes.
Yeah.
A great song live.
Oh, I'm sure. I only wish I could have seen him do it. All right, Brooklyn, I think that should wrap it up.
Sorry. Last last song, and Andrew, I actually want you to look up. We're gonna listen to the song afterwards.
Okay.
If you follow us on the $10 Patreon level, you can have access to that video. But the Mull River Shuffle by the Rankin Family is a kitchen dance party wrapped up in 4 minutes.
Mull River Shuffle.
The Mull River Shuffle.
There it is. Rankin Family. All right, we're gonna listen to this. Oh God, it's 7 minutes. Oh wait, no, that's just like a live version. All right. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. That's Brooklyn Vale. I'm Andrew James Barr, and keep on rocking.